Alright, hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. So, what have I been up to? Not too much, it's just providing an update. I think I found a way to get value from the logs. So, I spent all day, it doesn't seem like I spent all day, but I spent all day. Probably 5 or 6 hours. I had to model this cube. I had to model this green cube, okay? And then I had to model this cube, and then I had to model these cubes as well. It took a lot of thought, and then I had to make this surface interface. All right, so and it took me all day just to do this little bit. So I'll explain it. I'll show how it works, and then I'll explain how it works. So what? When you're building a surface UI, you're going to use regular scripts. You're not going to use local scripts, you're going to use regular scripts because it has to play on the server. So the difficulty in that is that if you want to give value to the player, you have to try and get the name of the player. Now, you'll think, okay, well that's easy. The player can just click on the screen, right? And then that'll get the name of the player when the player clicks on it. That's not how it works. What it will do is it will actually give you a number. And that number is where the player clicked on the screen, not the actual name of the player. So what you need to do is you need to create a button, either a proximity prompt or a click detector. And when the player clicks on it, you can get the name of the local player from that. All right? And then what you need to do is you need to store that name into a value, like a string value. I'll cover that. I'm just kind of explaining it while I'm trying to push this log over so we can sell it so you can see how it works. And then I'll get $1,000 for the log. It doesn't save because we're not connected yet to the data store. I'm still figuring it out. Yeah, so anyway, so we've chopped down the tree, right? We've got it, you know. We're at the mill and we want to sell the log. So what we do is this kind of stuff here. So the player has to click on that. That gets the name of the player, and then this is the name of the player here. This is how many logs. You press activate, and then that's where we hand in the logs. Pretty easy stuff. There could be more animations on this side, which I'll probably work on now. Some particle effects, some sounds. But that's pretty much it, right? So the log comes into here. Boom, 1,000. Then I can give myself experience if I want to as well for turning in the log. And then it just tells you the value here, and then you turn it off and it turns off just like that. Next player clicks on it, it resets itself. It's ready to go. So yeah, any player can press the off button. Any player can press the activate button and turn it off. But whatever, I mean, it's as good as it's going to get, unfortunately, for that. So how does it all work exactly? Well, for whatever, don't ask me why, for whatever reason, I have this number value here called number of logs. And I thought that I would be able to use this value as a way, and I could just multiply that by a number, and that would be the reward that I could give the player. For whatever reason, however it works, I'm not able to do that. So when the player clicks on the button, it turns the screen on, and then it changes this value. This here, the string value, to the player's name. Let's run through it. So the only way for the... I'll explain here, I'll explain. There we go, player added. Okay, so if we click on screen, this is where it is. So you see how it's empty, there's no value here. And when you click on it, that's the player's name, and then the player's name is here. This is the number of logs. So if I turn that to like 10, you notice how it doesn't update? I don't know why. I don't know why. So that was the problem. That was problem number one that I ran into. Then you press activate, and it activates that. You have to bring over a log, and the only way to change that number value is with this log, and that's it. I don't know why, but that's just the way it is. So it's actually kind of neat in the sense that the player has to get this object over there because it's the script that fires in that box that gives the reward, not the interface. The interface is just kind of graphics, right? But it's cool. So now that we have the player's name, then what we can do inside the go away part is we can reference that value and we can use that as the player's name. Then we can find our leader stats, and then we can say, okay, here's the cash value, here's the experience value, here's all the values that we want to track. And now we're able to add anything we want to those values from this process. In a way, I guess it's kind of, it's a quest. In a way, it's a mission, whatever you want to call it, right? So there we go. Mission complete. Okay, I got 1,000 for that. And then again, it just shows you here on the screen. And then when you press off, it resets the system. So if I brought over another, right? The only way to activate that is by clicking on the button again. So when you click on the button, it disables the script. So only one player at a time can use it. If another player comes up and clicks on here, it doesn't change the name, right? The only way for them to get a reward is to turn it off, to turn it on, and then to press the activate button. So what I'll try and do is I'll have a couple of stations at the sawmill. I mean, it doesn't look like much, right? But we'll have to see how it looks now. So for the console players, I don't know if they'll be able to use the excavator. And that's okay because you can spawn the other loader or the excavator. So the other loader you can use, it's got the A-chassis script in it. So you can use it with the console. Uh-oh. There it is. Alright. Now, I wonder if this thing's upside down. Right, so people are asking me for assistance. This is the assistance that I need now. The log buyer is complete. Like wherever it's going to be, right? Wherever it's going to be, it's complete. As far as like the concept, the code, everything, right? So now what this needs is it needs design. That's the only thing I can say. It needs design, right? So we don't want to change the gameplay or anything, but this just needs to be designed. Maybe this turns into like a table, you know what I mean? A rack that we're able to put, you know, maybe there's a shelf here or something like that that takes the log instead of it just, yeah. I mean, it'll disappear when it touches it. That's all that really matters. So now what we need to do, now we need to kind of test this. Interesting. Yeah, okay. Let's test this out. And then there's just a couple minor things that need to be taken care of on the trailers. So we'll do this the regular way. Oh, can I turn that on? Oh, I gotta reset, I think. Ah. We'll enable that, the developer interface. Alright, so if we do this, we'll spawn this in here. We can use this vehicle to test this complete. Let's see. Now I think this one here is for the loader. The red one. Yeah, there we go. So you can have fun either way. You don't have to have the excavator. You don't even have to load the logs onto the trailer now. You can just take the individual logs and you can get a reward for the individual logs. Which is fantastic because now, if you don't have time to play or you can only play for a little bit, you can still play the game and earn rewards. And if you have more time to play the game, there's a lot more things you can do. So now we've built a game, basically, that's what this is now, that caters to a lot of types of players. You know, you can even put it on the back so it drags it instead of holds it on the forks. Let's see what happens when we hit the bridge. It is possible. Nice. Yeah, these interfaces definitely... I think it's almost time to redo the interfaces too. Right, we gotta take pictures of the vehicles, put them on there. This, I don't know. When you have the console, you can select these by pressing the select button with the controller. So you don't need to bind any of these buttons to any of the keys on the controller. So that means you can bind more buttons on the machine and more of the machine's functions to buttons, I guess. That's something we'll have to go through. Okay, so here we are. We finally made it. Just like that. Boom, we got our money, we got our reward. Come down over here. Turn it off. Away we go. We can go and do another run. Fantastic. Of course, if you have your truck, you can do 6 at a time, whatever. 6 or 8, I can't remember what fits in there. 9 maybe. But you can only have 6 logs at a time. So yeah, that's pretty much going to do it for logging. Now this just needs to be worked on. Cool. So thank you so much for watching, liking, and subscribing. You guys are awesome, and I will see you all in the next one.